It's international week, and obviously that means I had to do at least one international video, and I'm making it about England. Shock. We saw them lose against Greece. Thank you, Pavlidis, for that. Just as I thought we rescued a point, we lost 2-1. Typical. And we beat Finland last night as well in two very different lineups. Thanks to Lee Carsley, he set the team up very differently in both games, but also very differently to how Gareth Southgate had them lined up. But he has openly said he doesn't want the England job. So that opens the England manager position back up to whoever wants it. We're going to start with Thomas Tuchel. And we know he has a few different tactics. We're going to go based on what he's done at PSG, based on what he's done at Dortmund, at Chelsea, at Bayern Munich, and kind of come up with the best solution. And to preface this video, there are a few tactical things that Thomas Tuchel likes to do that I've made sure we include in every formation that I'm going to suggest today. I'm going to suggest 3 formations, 3 different lineups, so we've got some variations in there. But we know Thomas Tuchel likes to progress or attack or transition in a 3-2-5. Now, how he creates that shape isn't as strict. It's not like we have to invert a fullback like he did with Kimmich at Bayern Munich. It's not like you have to have attacking fullbacks like Alonso and Reece James or like Bernat and Dani Alves. It can vary. As long as he creates a 3-2 attacking shape, that's something he consistently looks to do. And also, we know he likes to have 2 numbered 10s, the likes of Muller and Musiala. Potentially it was Bayern Munich where he started to progress to Sane and Coman, so maybe that's where he started to phase out of that. But we know at Chelsea, obviously, it was Werner and Mason Mount, or Havertz and Mason Mount. At PSG, we know he had Di Maria and Neymar, who kind of took up them spaces, and Herrera attacking kind of became a number 10 instead. So there are certainly some consistencies, and the final point is he really likes a striker that can drop off. Kai Havertz did this, Neymar did this, Harry Kane conveniently did it for him at Bayern Munich. So we know that there are a few fundamentals that we have to incorporate into these lineups. So what will it actually look like? Now, the first formation that I'm going to suggest is actually a 5-2-3. Could become a 5-3-2 in defence, but I think tactically a 5 at the back formation is the best for tournament football, like the Euros, like the World Cup. Because I think it gives you a really solid defensive shape that is hard to break down, but it also offers a lot in transition. You can get the wing backs quite high. You can attack fluidly. And that's something that I think could suit the tournament style football that he will have to take charge of. And it worked for him at Chelsea as well. We saw obviously he won the Champions League with this formation. But it suited the personnel, and I'm not necessarily convinced that this lineup suits the personnel the best. But we'll take a look at it anyway. So starting off in goal, I'm going with Jordan Pickford. This could be an area up for debate. We've seen Thomas Tuchel use different goalkeepers. Obviously, Areola, Edouard Mendy and Neuer are all 3 very different type of goalkeepers. So I don't think he's necessarily strict on what kind of goalkeeper he likes. But I think based on the consistency and the leader that Pickford is, he would stay in goal. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing Aaron Ramsdale. I don't think he's as good at shot stopping as the likes of Nick Pope. I don't think he's got that commanding nature like Jordan Pickford does. I don't think he's necessarily the same kind of goalkeeper as Jordan Pickford is what I'm trying to say, but I think he's a good hybrid of Pickford and Pope. You lose some aspects, but you gain some, so I wouldn't be surprised if Aaron Ramsdale started. That's pretty much where I'm going with that. Starting with this 5 at the back. Do I start with the wing backs or the centre? I'm going to start with the centre backs. At left centre back, I'm going with Levi Colwill. He's been brilliant for Chelsea at the moment. We know he wasn't necessarily a favourite when he was under Tuchel at Chelsea, but I think he could be a really good option. He's matured so much. Left-footed as well. Obviously, left-footed on the left of a back 3 sounds perfect. He has played left-back as well, so he could cover the wide areas if needed. So that is, for me, the best left centre-back option. In terms of the central centre-back option, I'm going to go with, and this is a good question, who did I go with? I went with Mark Gahey. Mark Gahey is my central centre-back. We saw at the Euros that he was really good alongside Harry Maguire, alongside John Stones. And I think he could do this central position better than what Harry Maguire would do. And in the right centre-back of a back 3, I've gone with John Stones. And this might shock you, I've not gone with Kyle Walker. You could argue Kyle Walker should go here and John Stones moves to the middle, and I wouldn't be opposed to that. I just don't think Kyle Walker's got it anymore. I don't think he's a bad player. He's still certainly one of the best in the world, but I don't think maybe in 6 months, 1 year down the line, especially when we're coming up to the next World Cup, he will be good enough to start in this squad. And that's just the reality of it. He's coming to the end of his England tenure. In terms of the wing backs, I struggled with the left wing back on how I wanted to play this for a while. And I'm not going to lie to you, I'm going to just spoil this now. I considered putting Bukayo Saka at left wing back. And it's not something I'm opposed to. If we are 1-0 down, 2-0 down in the 70th minute, I would move Bukayo Saka to left wing back. I know a lot of people will hate that, but I do think it's something that we could do. But I am going at the moment with Luke Shaw. Is he the best attacking wing back? No, not necessarily. We saw obviously in the Euros 2020, was it 2020? It might have been 2021, I can't remember. We saw in that tournament that he was pretty good at going forward. He obviously scored that goal against Italy. He does have a good attacking nature about him, but we have also seen at Man United, he's almost played centre-back at times, so he is capable of playing that position as well. But I do think purely for the lack of left wing back that left backs in completely actually that England have, I don't think Chilwell will start. I don't think he's got enough fitness in the bank. He's not played enough regular minutes to earn a position. But I do think Chilwell as a left wing back would be better. And as for right wing back, I'm going with Trent. I feel like that's pretty obvious. He is my right wing back. I think getting up and down, and we'll have a look at how this team could attack in just a minute. I think he's the best option, obviously picking up the half spaces and the wide areas. I think it'll be better for him. Okay, maybe he could play in the midfield instead, but I do think if he's going forward, having 3 centre-backs behind him covers him a little bit more, because we have also obviously seen his defence is a weaker part of his game. As for the midfield, this is where it's going to get a bit interesting. I've gone with Rice, and I'm completely changing this if Reece James is fit. If Reece James is fit, for me, Trent goes into midfield and Reece James plays right wing back. I think that is where you get the best of both players. But obviously we know Reece James has the injury issues, so we can't rely on this. So for that sake, I'm taking him out and I am putting Kobbie Mainoo in the squad. Pretty standard, you'd expect that. I do think Angel Gomez has looked really good when he's played under Lee Carsley recently, but for me, I think Mainoo is the obvious option. I think he's the one we have to go with. This is where it starts to get interesting, because we have to start making sacrifices. I'm going to start with the obvious, Harry Kane up top. And that's obviously going to be the case. Who on earth are going to be the 2 wingers? / the 2 number 10s, I guess. For me, it's pretty obvious, but a lot of you are going to agree with me. I'm going with Bellingham on the left and Cole Palmer on the right. And I know that this is going to cause so much controversy, and I apologise in advance. I think Bellingham in this position, close to Harry Kane, especially if Harry Kane, like we said, drops off, Bellingham can make the runs in behind. Palmer can also make runs in behind. And now if we look at the tactics, Trent can go high, Luke Shaw can go high, these two can cover the back, and we get this 3-2-5 shape that we said Thomas Tuchel loves. And if Kane does drop off, there is space here then for Palmer to make the attacking runs inside. There's the space for Bellingham to do the same. And it creates the overload in the midfield. You get this box midfield +1, so you're probably going to overload the opposition's midfield. Means you get the extra man, and we know Harry Kane had his best season ever, best goal scoring season at Bayern Munich under Thomas Tuchel. So we know that Thomas Tuchel can get the best out of Harry Kane. So that's not a problem. Obviously, I know the criticisms are going to come with where is Foden, where is Saka. For me, I think in terms of the half spaces, Cole Palmer's better than Saka, and Bellingham, this is where it starts to get a bit more intricate. In a back 5, if instead we do want to drop into a back 5-3-2, Mainoo, Rice, I think Bellingham can do this position better, and you create this 3-2-5. But then at the same time, he can also, if I shift it all across, Palmer can also play in the right of a midfield 3. Whereas I think Saka could, and I think Foden could do that. But I think Bellingham, personally, is the best option in this situation, because he's the best at transitioning to a striker and a midfield, can cover the wide areas pretty well if Rice does want to attack. I think Bellingham's the best. I think Bellingham's better than Foden, and people are going to hate me for that. That's the first formation, okay? That is the first one. We're out of the way. We've got the worst one out of the way. You can breathe again. Let's go into the second formation. Okay, the next one is a 4-2-3-1. Shock. Like he played at Bayern Munich, and I think this is probably going to get the most talent in the squad at one time. We're going to start with the obvious choices. Pickford in goal, wherever I put Kane up top. For me, I think it's pretty obvious. Colwill, left centre-back. John Stones, right centre-back. I think Luke Shaw, left centre-back. Left back, sorry, Declan Rice obviously will be in there. I feel like they're the obvious ones. We're going to stick with that for now. They are the obvious choices. So who's going to be the attacking three alongside Harry Kane? Who's the right DM and who's at right back? I'm going to offer a few variations. Again, I like variations. Say Trent's at right back. For me, the best right defensive midfielder in this situation, Rico Lewis. I think he balances Declan Rice out perfectly. And I'm going to explain to you why in a minute. We're going to finish the personnel first. In terms of the cam, I think Cole Palmer. I think he's the best option for that. I think operating centrally, you could obviously argue Phil Foden. You could obviously argue Bellingham as well could do this role, especially if Kane's dropping off, who can play alongside that perfectly. I think Cole Palmer is the best option. Maybe I'm a bit biased there, but I think based on form, current ability, and how the team is going to attack, he's the one. I'm going Bellingham on the left, and I'm going for Bukayo Saka on the right. And I think Bukayo Saka has to be in this team. I think him and Palmer are better at the moment than Phil Foden. I think Phil Foden's one of them players that just doesn't quite have a place in the system. Not because of his lack of quality, just because I don't think the competition in the areas that he's best at is stronger than what he is. And I don't think he's able to be as versatile as the others. That's a debatable topic. The reason is, how does it transition? For me, it's Rico Lewis can attack in this position to create this 3-2-5. Or similarly, we could actually swap these two around. Palmer in this position and Rico Lewis can attack here. And then you get Trent inverting. And this becomes the shape. That's the 3-2-5 that we talk about. People aren't going to like it. But I think Lewis is better at doing this role than Kobbie Mainoo is. The alternative, however, is getting Kobbie Mainoo... Oh, didn't mean to do that. Is getting Kobbie Mainoo in this situation. And then obviously it comes back like this. The reason I don't love this as much, and there is a reason, is because it means Palmer's more likely going to be on the left. I think Palmer's better on the right. It also means if Trent does want to push forward, Saka's then in the half space, and I don't think this is the best from Saka. I don't think Saka's as good here as it would be this way. Now maybe Trent can just make an underlapping run, and that is fine, and that I wouldn't have an issue with. But this is the alternative. But I just think that counterbalance Declan Rice's qualities the best. Rico Lewis is the man, and then we can create this shape instead. And for me, I think that's the best. And then you get Harry Kane dropping off. You can get Bellingham holding the width. Maybe you want him a bit more centrally, and in which sense maybe you could argue Foden is better. But I'm not having it. Sorry, I'm not having it. The only issue is then you do have Rico Lewis in a very advanced position. Is that who you want? Is almost at times the left striker? Probably not. But again, we've seen at Man City, he is so influential. He's that 19-year-old with 21 years experience. Like, he's that kind of man. He's just ridiculous. He has played so well under Pep that the argument is, can Tuchel get the same out of him? Potentially not. I just think in terms of creating a bit more of a balanced squad, it offers more. But going back to it, I can get the argument of Mainoo, Trent right back. I get this argument as well, because then you're more likely to do something like this. And I don't have an issue with that. I don't love Bellingham as the left as the left winger in this situation. I would actually probably prefer to have something like this. But how do you transition into... I guess if you start Palmer on the right, you could end up with something like that as well. I don't like that as much. I think you lose a bit of specialities in certain areas there. So it's debatable. Maybe this is better, but then maybe you want Foden instead, but then you're missing out on Saka. So this is where Thomas Tuchel is going to have a real problem. Maybe you just don't play Palmer. Maybe you do go with something like this. But at the moment, I think Palmer is the first attacker on the team sheet. So again, this is where you start getting them issues. The reason I like it like this the most is Bellingham then can make the attacking runs in behind. So I don't know. Do you know what? I planned this video and I've actually changed my mind while recording it, but I'm going to go back to my original plan. I just think it's the strongest, personally. I think that's the best 4-2-3-1. Maybe Gomez can do that job instead of Lewis as well. Better than what I think Kobbie Mainoo would. I just think you want someone that's going to be more attacking, that can play central and advanced if Trent inverts. Trent could do the Kimmich role, and in which case you saw Pavlovic attack. So we need someone that can do like a Pavlovic kind of thing. I'm going with Rico Lewis. I'm sorry, I'm going with it. This is my 4-2-3-1 that I think he should play, and I think it's something like what he would play. Maybe Mainu versus Lewis is the only debate here, for me, personally. Let's go on to the other formation before I start confusing everyone. Right, the final formation that I'm going to suggest is a 4-3-3. And it changes again slightly. Shock. Rice. Where's Mainu? There he is. In comes little Mainu. Love him. And Bellingham is the other midfielder. Saka comes out, Foden on the left, and Palmer on the right. And this is based off of what we saw at PSG. He used a midfield three, where actually it might be better with Mainu as the CDM, but we saw a midfield three of Marquinhos, Paredes, /Verratti, and Ander Herrera. Ander Herrera was the box-to-box who could come deep, who could attack high. And that's what Bellingham's going to be doing in this system. He can attack high. That's the first phase of the attack. Foden provides the width. Then you get the overlapping fullback. Now, it was Juan Bernat at PSG, overlapping on the opposite side to what Ander Herrera was attacking. Trent would do that role. And you'd end up with Palmer in the half spaces. And for me, this is a midfield and a back three is by far and away the strongest, because I think you then get the players in the best positions. Remember how in the 4-2-3-1 we couldn't really decide on who's best in the half spaces, who's best on the wing. Do we really want Bellingham left wing? Probably not. Do we want Lewis? Yes, but no. This formation offers the best. I think in terms of the attacking transitions, you get Trent in a wide area, but this also isn't a problem if you end up with Trent in the half space. Palmer is in the half space, which is where he's best. Kane can drop off, with Bellingham and Palmer making the runs in behind. Trent providing them incredible crosses from a deeper wide position. Foden holding the width, I think, is better than what Bellingham would do on that side. And you've still got a very comfortable back five here to defend any transitions. Colwill centrally, Luke Shaw on the left, John Stones on the right. They're all very quick. They're all very capable of covering the wide areas. And Mainu and Rice, just as much as I don't like the balance of them two together, personally, I think in this situation it would work best. And Rice can obviously attack if he needs to, with Palmer, Trent maybe inverting. You get different alternatives here. That could happen as well. So that's where I think this is the best formation. Going back to Thomas Tuchel's PSG days. I know it's not necessarily the most trendy formation, but we've seen as well. Remember De La Fuente in that final against England played a 4-3-3 and he tore that tournament apart. So you could also just see England attacking a 4-3-3. I mean, that would be different, wouldn't it? Who wouldn't love that? There are a lot of names we've missed out. Obviously, you don't get Saka in this lineup. Ollie Watkins, Dominic Solanke is an option. Mark Gahey, I do really like. I think he deserves a place in the starting lineup. But for me, at the moment, Colwill being the best left-footed option should be starting. And obviously Harry Maguire and Ezri Konsa, two centre-backs as well that I haven't really mentioned. Konsa I do really like as the right of a back three as well. I just think then you're losing the quality of John Stones. Maguire, I just don't personally think in an England shirt is as good as he is in a Man United shirt, which is controversial at the moment. And obviously a lot depends on whether Reece James is fit as well, because we know Thomas Tuchel can get a hell of a lot out of Reece James, as we saw at his time at Chelsea. For me, the 4-3-3 is the obvious choice. Whether he'll do it, I don't know. For me, that is the best lineup for England. It gets the best players in the best positions, and I think we win tournaments. I think we're entering that era, guys. It's happening. It's happening. Thomas Tuchel's going to take us to a trophy. God. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. For starters, is Thomas Tuchel the man for the job? And if so, which of the three formations do you think he should choose? Do you go defensive with the five at the back? Do you go with a more trendy formation in the 4-2-3-1? Or do you go with what I'd argue the most balanced formation, the 4-3-3? Let me know down below. Is Tuchel the man for the job as well? I'm not entirely convinced, but I do think it could work. I'm going to stay on the fence here. Obviously, you've got the main issues of would he survive the media? A German coming into the England job. Are going to be a lot of pressure on him, a lot of scrutiny. I think he would be able to handle it, but obviously we saw at Bayern Munich, when he's had enough, he's had enough. So it's a debatable situation. I wouldn't be opposed, but that's probably because I'm a bit biased because of the Chelsea link. Let me know what you think. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. It's been a bit of a brain dump, but I loved it. I like doing these kind of videos, so let me know who you want to see next. And anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all very soon with a brand new video.